This was huge news that came yesterday morning, late yesterday morning, that I don't think too many people expected. There's a big shock of this. How do you think the city is responding right now?
So I think that this has only happened really once before, when Mayor Daley decided not to run for re-election after a seventh term. We've really never been in a situation where a mayor has only served 2 terms and then sort of left the stage voluntarily.
So he talked about yesterday in the press conference that he was doing it for family reasons and wanted to move in a different direction with his wife. His 2 children now out of the home.
3 children.
3 children, thank you. They are empty nesters. And so what do you think, will there be any other causes as to why he might not want to run again?
Well, there's no doubt that he was facing a very difficult re-election campaign. You talked a little bit about how the trial of Jason Van Dyke starts today. He has been accused of helping to cover up the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. He also faced a great deal of concern about whether the benefits was spreading from downtown to the other neighborhoods.
Okay. Let's talk about the candidates right now and who could possibly fill his spot. We have 12 candidates running for mayor. A lot of them, Gary McCarthy, a front runner there, Paul Vallis, Lori Lightfoot, Dorothy Brown, Jamal Green, Troy LaRiviere. We've had several of these candidates on our show, including, and we've also had Amara Enya on our show as well, and John Kozlar. A number of candidates, 12 different candidates running for mayor. Clearly a crowded race here. Any front runners that stand out to you?
Well, I think you have to sort of stay with the big 3. Lori Lightfoot, Paul Vallis, the former CPS CEO, and Gary McCarthy, the former police superintendent. But I would not be surprised when all said and done is to have nearly 24 candidates at least try to get on the ballot. It's going to be a free-for-all.
My goodness. So are you thinking that we should expect more candidates to enter into the race now?
Absolutely. The second the mayor stopped talking yesterday, if you've ever thought of wanting to be mayor of Chicago, you got on the phone and you started talking to your people about it. So we know that Tony Preckwinkle, the Cook County Board President, had made calls. We also know several aldermen are considering running. We also may have a big surprise in store for Jesus Chuy Garcia, who is set to become the next congressman.
Really?
He may change his mind and decide to make another bid for mayor.
Okay. I also heard there were rumblings yesterday of Valerie Jarrett. Do you have any inside intel into that?
So her name is always popping up for Chicago mayor. She served as former President Barack Obama's closest advisor in the White House. That would really reset the race, because she could very easily tap into President Obama's donor networks and raise a significant amount of money very, very quickly. So if she decides she's in, that would be another earthquake for sure.
Seriously. So it's already a crowded field. It could get even more crowded. Only time will tell. We might even see some new candidates by the end of this week.
Yes.
We'll be tuning in for sure. But can you also tell me what you think this means for the city of Chicago right now? The mayor has been had a lot of controversy surrounding him, specifically with this Laquan McDonald case. The trial starts today, but he's also done some good in terms of bringing some major businesses here, like Amazon, like having McDonald's moving back into the city. How do you think this will affect the business front of the city?
There's no doubt that he's been a very business-friendly mayor. So if you're a corporation looking to come to Chicago, you've got to sort of take stock now and say, well, now it's an unknown. There's nothing worse for a company or for somebody else, sort of the unknowns. And that is sort of what we are entering into now as a city, because you don't know who the next mayor of Chicago is going to be. Because let's remember, when Mayor Daley stepped down, Rahm Emanuel was right there to step up.
So far up until now, we thought that he was going to be running for re-election in February of next year. Now we know that that's changing. Were there any rumblings of this actually happening?
So I've got to give credit to Fran Spielman at the Sun-Times. She was the first to sort of report that he was not 100% committed to running for re-election. But the rest of us thought it was business as usual. He had raised nearly $10 million, had already spent millions of dollars, put together a campaign team, and had people on the street collecting petition signatures at the very moment he was telling reporters that he did not plan to run. So it was a pretty big shock.
Yeah, a huge shift. What's going to happen to that almost $10 million in campaign funds that he has?
Well, he told the Tribune that he plans to return that money to donors. He doesn't have to. He can basically hang on to it, give it to other candidates, or give it to charity.
So if he was going to run for a different kind of office, maybe say the state level, we'll throw that out there, he could use that money for that?
He could. He said that his career in elected office is done. So I would be surprised, but not shocked after yesterday to see Rahm Emanuel on another ballot for another office.
Interesting. Well, you never know. Clearly,
never
this is
know.
a case of kind
Absolutely.
of switching it up and shocking
Yes.
what people thought. Shocking and doing not what people thought, I should say.
Yes.
So let's actually talk more about the candidates who are running. There are 12 candidates right now on the ballot. Some of the front runners right here: Gary McCarthy, Paul Vallis, Lori Lightfoot, Dorothy Brown, Jamal Green. We've had him in studio, Troy LaRiviere. And then here's some other candidates who are running as well. We've also had Amara Enya in studio here at the Jam. John Kozlar has been in studio. We're asking any of the other candidates out there, please. We've been reaching out to all of them, and I hope they'll reach out to us. We're inviting you on the Jam because we want to make sure the people know who they're voting for at home. But let's talk about these 12 candidates. It's a crowded field already. Are you expecting, as a political expert, that more candidates will join the race?
Well, I don't know how much of an expert I am, but if you've ever wanted to run for mayor of Chicago, this is your moment. So I would expect that we'll see at least double the field, at least, explore a run. I know Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, several aldermen, maybe even Jesus Chuy Garcia will consider running for mayor. It's important to remember that this is only the second time in my lifetime that there has been a mayor who has said, I'm not going to run again. So this is a really big deal. And,
huge, with Chicago not having term limits.
Right. And what's interesting is that it'll be interesting to see what happens to former Governor Pat Quinn's push to get a measure on the ballot that would limit Chicago mayors to 2 terms. Mayor Rahm Emanuel had been opposing that effort, and it's not clear to me whether he's going to continue that objection.
Interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much, Heather. We appreciate it. Heather Cherone from thedailyline.net. Make sure you check her out there. And the Chicago mayoral election is February 26th of 2019. We now have 12 candidates running. We'll have to wait and see if there will be any more.